Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Coach Chris. I'm here today with James Baugh. James is running for County Clerk Recorder for the San Luis Obispo County, and had the opportunity to meet James a few months back through Debbie Arnold, and since have had a chance to get to know him and listen to his story and why he's running for this office, which is very much needed, as every one of you know. And so I wanted to take the opportunity today for you guys that haven't had a chance to meet James, to meet him here, at least in video, so that when you see him out there, you'll come up, shake his hand, make sure you vote for him on June 7th. And so today you're going to be able to hear from James. So James, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
So James, why don't you share with the audience today, you know, who you are, what's your background, what have you been doing for most of your life, and why are you running for politics and for this one particular office? So
I guess that out of my head on straight. Must be it. I grew up in Northern California, small town, kind of like what Paso Robles is. Lived there all my life, basically K through 12th grade. Got to know lifelong friendships up there with people, and it was a rural area, conservative values. And then I joined the military at 18.
Wow.
Spent 23 years in the military, deployed many times overseas. Got to see a lot of other governments and how they function or don't function, and got to help rebuild some of the governments overseas too, and work with some people, some ambassadors, in running elections and so on and so forth. Then I retired. I took a year off. After I retired, I was living in Georgia. I rode my Harley across the United States.
Oh, fun.
Because I decided I wanted to see what America was all about.
Oh, right.
I'd been all over the world and hadn't been here, so and it was good for myself to see our own country and see the things. Like, we go to the Black Hills and see the beauty back there and things like that. And then I retired really because my daughter was 8 years old and I was a single parent.
Oh,
So
okay.
and I had been constantly deployed.
Wow.
And I knew at that point I was at this crescendo where I had to either stay for 30 years or it was time to go. So, and I knew if I stayed, I was going to probably have at least 5 more deployments.
Okay.
And
Wow.
those were a year at a time, and I wanted to raise my daughter. So, as I took some time off, I got a job in the Bay Area. I started training with the Army Reserves as running exercises for them, which brought me down to Paso Robles and Fort Hunter Liggett.
Oh.
I loved the area. It looked like home. So I've been there for 15 years. I've run major exercises out there with 7 to 10,000 soldiers, multi-million-dollar budget. We've done FEMA exercises back in Indiana. Done FEMA exercises down in Los Angeles. Natural disaster response type things. So I understand the bureaucracy and the color money thing.
Yeah.
In between all of that, I managed to finish college and get a bachelor's in marketing. And then I did my a master's in business administration. So all of that kind of has played into it, and I think will be used a lot going forward, especially, and I like to say, the bachelor's in marketing, because we have some serious things that we need to turn around with the county clerk's office, and a lot of that's going to be marketing and showing that we're going to be open and transparent to things. And so that's kind of what brought me to here. What got me into the race was the last 2 elections, working in precincts and being precinct inspector, and having elections called beforehand, having people, before we actually turned our stuff in, having people show up with their vote by mail ballot in their hand, go in the computer and they're red lighted, and which means they can't vote. That says their ballot was already in. So, and then going through the process and knowing that person's vote's not going to count. So, and that takes away from the trust that we have in our election system, and I want to try to bring that back. And then there's other things that we want to get accomplished that we can talk about.
Yeah.
But that's basically what got me into this race.
Well, that's great, James. I know, being a public servant is not easy, and we appreciate people like yourself that are willing to answer the call to that. I'm asked all the time, why don't you run for office? And I think we all have different gifting. For me, I'd rather be in the background supporting people like yourself, at least this time of my life. So everybody plays a part, so we do appreciate that. And I've always told people, not being not just a health coach, but a life coach over all the years and everything I've learned, and people say, how do you really learn much about somebody? I said, here's one thing that I always look at. What kind of parent are they? That tells me everything. And what you just shared about your 8-year-old daughter tells me a lot about you already, and just in the short time. Because to me, when you say I'm making priorities and I'm putting things in place, for my child or my children, that's significant, at least in my book, because to me that's old-fashioned patriotic values that this country's lost. You know, when I hear parents talking not good about their kids or about the youth and this and that, you know, it tells me a lot. You know, you listen, and so I do appreciate that. You know, I appreciate your service to this country, which to me means a lot, and I know that you're not taking this lightly, running for office. Like, you probably don't take anything lightly in your life, you know, being an army in the Army, you know, and so where's the best place for people to get to know you if they want to donate? Do you have a website you want to share with the audience here, James?
Yeah, our website is www, then Baugh, I'll spell it B-A-U-G-H, then the number 4, countyclerk.com. So Baugh4countyclerk.com is the best place for people to go in, and you can read about me and stuff. The other thing too is, and I'll add, you know, coming to Paso, I met my wife.
Oh,
Tony Jo, and she has a child too, a daughter who's going to University of Arizona.
right on.
So who's being very successful, and you know, she did a lot of sacrifice to, you know, have her daughter go there too. So you know, we understand, you know, the priorities and what we need to do and what comes first. So
well, that's important, because that message needs to come back to this country strong too. You know, a lot of times in life, everybody wants to fix everything over here, you know, like outside our house. But if we all focus on fixing our own house, you know, doing the best we can with our families, you know, like you guys have been doing, that solves a lot of problems, because today, you know, the whole family value thing has gone out the window. And I know for me, that's at some point when I, you know, do more in the community, that's what I want to get back. Coaching is helping families, you know, with family values and teaching them and those kind of things, and raising up that generation so that we do have good people running in politics, right?
Yeah, and you bring that up about, you know, fixing locally, and that's kind of where we are here too. I mean, we have a county that unfortunately is clouded with corruption.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And we need to fix that, and we need to start in our own backyard.
Yeah.
And you know, I've heard, you know, one of my opponents say we use the ERIC system, which is a national database to go in, but I don't want to be dependent on some county clerk recorder in, you know, Michigan, you know, saying that, hey, you're registered there or not. I want to do it right here and clean it up here. And not only that, but just, you know, our county clerk recorder's office does not have the best reputation when it comes to customer friendliness either. And I think we need to change that. And I think that starts at leadership.
Absolutely. And
it's all about bringing ethical leadership in there and letting people do their jobs and protecting them. You know, I like always say that, you know, as a leader, you're the umbrella.
Yeah.
You allow other people to do their jobs and then help them, you know, fix their processes and make it better by shielding them from all the outside noise. And I think I can do that. I've led. The last unit in the Army I had was 391 soldiers, 28 different jobs.
Yeah, a little more pressure in that scenario too.
Yeah,
you know? So you can handle this.
I think I can, and also, you know, I think we, you know, for the folks up in North County, like we were out in Shandon the other night, you know, 1,121 people in Shandon. We went to their town and their city advisory council meeting, right, and listened to them. And then at the end, we spoke for about, you know, 4 minutes or so, and they were so appreciative that we were there. And what's the concern that they have is getting access. So opening up the North County office in Atascadero that should be open is a priority to these people, because, you know, geography-wise, Shannon to San Luis Obispo, you got to do a loop.
Oh, yeah, it's a long journey. Yeah.
And if you're a rancher, you don't have 4 hours to come down and do paperwork. So it's things like that where I think we owe it, as government's supposed to be there to help citizens, that we owe it to go out and do outreach to folks and let them know that we're there to support them. It's not the other way around. It's not you just come to me all the time. It's like we go find out what the issues are and try to help them the best we can.
Well, that's the whole objective of public service. Like you say, we're there for them, not the other way around.
Exactly.
You know, we've gotten to this society where we're supposed to bow down to those that are in office that aren't doing a good job, and that needs to change. And the position you're running for is really, in my opinion, probably one of the most important positions, because if we don't have election integrity and can't count on the votes being counted right, you don't have anything. It doesn't matter who's running for office, because if they can manipulate the vote, you know, people really are getting jaded. And the sad part of it is, because the other side wants this, is they want everybody to believe that there is that going on, even though they're allowing it, because they don't want people to vote.
Right.
See, that's there's so much deception out there.
Yeah, that's voter suppression.
Yeah, it is.
And that's why I say, like having a bachelor's in marketing is going to help.
Yeah.
Because we got to get out in front of this, and we got to let people know and have them believe back in their system.
That's right.
And that's going to cause us to be out front, and it's just being transparent. And like I always say, America's very forgiving.
Yeah.
If you make a mistake, come out and own it. Say you made the mistake, and then say how we're going to fix it.
Yeah.
And if people see that you actually want to fix things, they'll support you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's we get away from where we want to bury everything too much and pretend like, oh, nothing to see here, nothing to see here. No, let's go in and fix it. Fix the system. Fix it so people actually believe in their local government again, and then maybe we can expand it and grow it, and people will have more faith in other things that are happening. But right now it's very tough when in 2016 there was one side unhappy, 2020 there's another side unhappy. So trying to bring all these people together, that's going to be a big task, but I think I can do it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a
well, that's
challenge.
where leadership comes in. No matter what, you always need leadership, right? And I think what ends up happening a lot of times in the political landscape is people that get in office have no leadership experience. And it's not saying anything negative about them, but when in certain roles, almost every role, you got to have some leadership experience because you are in that position, like you say, to empower the other people that are underneath you, but it starts at the top.
Yeah, and one of the things I really want to do is an initiative I have, and obviously it's for leadership, but is that to bring civics outreach to the high schools again. To start teaching kids civics, because we've had, and I say it a lot, 2 years of kids getting involved now, and because they were affected by bad policy.
Absolutely.
So now you see like the Hunter Breezes up in Paso Robles who are willing to put a fight back. Well, now let's educate them and give them the tools from the political side so that they understand what they're voting on, what these things are, and who's getting voted, who's getting voted into office and things like that, and understand the process.
Right.
And we've lost that in our school system.
Right.
So I think with bringing together some retired teachers and using some discretionary funds, we can put together a program for the county to where we can start bringing that back out to the kids, and they deserve that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they are the future,
They
right?
are.
And they're watching us.
Right.
And then we have that opportunity to, like you say, to make a difference in their lives.
Yeah, we have the tools in the toolbox.
Absolutely.
Let's bring the whole toolbox to
bring it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let them do it.
That's awesome. Well, any final thoughts, James, that you want to share with the audience out there?
It's just, again, check out my website. It's www.baugh, B-A-U-G-H, the number 4, countyclerk.com. Obviously, we're always looking for donations because it's not cheap. That's a barrier to entry into running. And sorry that it shouldn't be that way, but it is. And I just appreciate if you vote for me on the 7th. And if you got any questions, you can email me on there. I'll respond back as quickly as I can. People call me all the time. I answer my phone. I talk to them. People say, hey, I got one question on my, I'm not sure who I want to vote for, but I'll answer anything. I'm very open about it, very transparent. I appreciate the time you took to watch this and taking the time to talk to me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your service to the country and appreciate your service to the local community. And we'll see you at one of the events coming up soon.
Cool.
All right.
All right,
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.